Let me start, assuming you can all hear me. So thank you very much for joining. I understand we have in total 800 people listening. We have been waiting now for this to really start. And we have people from 40 countries and 400 different institutions. So it's good to see that we have people from 40 countries because this is about cross-border payments. And it relates to what we announced a few days ago, that we would, a few days ago in October actually, that we would initiate cross-border payments with tips, linking tips in different ways, both in Europe and beyond. And within Europe, we would do it with in-tips, in the sense that tips, currencies on tips would be interlinked. And then we would, however, go beyond that also to the rest of the world. And we will go, of course, into more details in this session. And yeah, as it has been noted many times, cross-border payments are slow, complex, and expensive, and that affects wholesale payment and corporate payments, and also retail payments like remittances, for example. So it affects many people, everyone who has any cross-border relationship or travels. And one would have expected that with electronic communication costs falling, also global payments would get cheaper and cheaper, but they didn't. So there's really a kind of flat movement of fees in particular, which didn't come down over the last years. Why is that so? Certainly because of legal complexity. If a payment crosses jurisdictions, you have to take into account two legal frameworks and the way they treat cross-border payments, compliance, legal risks. There have been fines in the past of banks who did overlook AML CFT duties. So then banks are, of course, very careful. There has been a de-risking phenomenon where banks have been withdrawing from corridors. And of course, the, let's say, geopolitical situation, the international collaboration has not necessarily improved after the Russian invasion in Ukraine in 2022. We are not really in a world which gets better in that respect, or at least we have to work on it. Then another aspect is operations. So if you do cross-border payments, you may face different operating hours. You may have, insufficient message formats which don't allow to do straight-through processing in cross-border payments. So there's a lot of work ongoing, of course, on ISO 20022 deployment to improve, let's say, the automation via better, more complete message formats for cross-border payments. And interlinking fast payment system also falls under those operational solutions. And obviously, because fast payment systems are 24/7, they have no issue of non-overlapping operating hours. And the first topic, of course, specific to cross-border payments is FX conversion. FX cross-currency payments don't really exist. I mean, they are always decomposed to domestic payments, where one agent, one FX convergent agent, has to do the FX conversion. And that can be more or less efficient and more or less organized. And the interlinking of FPS also have to look, of course, at how this FX conversion is being done. And noting all that, the G20 launched an ambitious agenda to improve cross-border payments. That was in 2020. And in 2022, it also formulated quantitative targets for 2027, including for speed and cost. I mean, now we are somewhere in the middle in end 2024, so we have another 3 years to reach those targets. But as it appears, the, let's say, trend towards those targets is still not such that we would easily reach them, so more efforts are needed. And yeah, the Eurosystem has supported the G20 roadmap from the beginning, and also the fact that interlinking fast payment systems was identified as one of few priority actions in 2022. And as we have been running TIPS for now many years, one could almost say, and as TIPS is well connected, also serves as hub in the euro area, and has this multi-currency ability. For all those reasons, the Council thought that the ECB, the Eurosystem, should contribute with TIPS to the interlinking of fast payment systems, so act as an operator and contribute to better cross-border payments. And here we are doing that, and that will be explained in more detail. It was already also in the press release, in the announcements, that we first will do it with the TIPS hosted currencies. So as you know, the Swedish krona is on TIPS also, and the Danish krona will be on TIPS as of April next year, so in half a year actually. And you may have seen that last week Norway also announced it will join TIPS, presumably in 2028. So that's a bit more remote, but in principle the cross currency would apply to all those, or would be available for all those who want, who have joined TIPS. So yeah, that work actually started already a while ago. There was already an announcement to work on this with Sweden, I think in 2020. But okay, priority had been to migrate the Swedish market to TIPS. That happened in early 2024, so this year. And so some work has been done on the interlinking, also even with PSPs. We had some discussions with PSPs on the design, but this work will be intensified now as the migration has taken place, went smoothly, and yeah, we now, let's say, upgrade this work. And the second really new element in our October announcement was the global interlinking of TIPS. So to go beyond Europe, so go beyond TIPS itself, interlink with other fast payment systems. And this has three, let's say, sub-pillars. One is to connect TIPS with other fast payment systems outside the euro area that have compatible schemes without, establishing a direct technical link. So this would rely essentially on the European side, on the one leg out scheme. Exploiting, let's say, the capacity of the one leg out scheme in using TIPS for improving cross-border payments, with specific focus on then some currencies. The second is to connect with Nexus, the BIS Innovation Hub project that is advancing towards implementation. And here the promise is that with a multilateral arrangement, one can, of course, have economies of scale and scope. Every currency, let's say, needs to achieve only once its compatibility of its technical connection to Nexus, and then achieves, to have cross-border payments with all those countries and currencies. And as you may have seen in the announcements of Nexus, there will be four ASEAN countries and India at the beginning in Nexus, and we are still then in an exploration phase, but hope then to join also this group very soon. And then last but not least, the ECB announced to go also for bilateral link with India's UPI because of the, let's say, large, of course, market. The Indian market is large, the payment volumes are large, and the experience of India in this field is, let's say, far-reaching. India has established a few such bilateral links, and UPI is also a very successful, instant-based payment solution in India, so that we believe that this is an economically very meaningful link to establish.